Today's episode of the BS Podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. As always, they are our presenting sponsor since 1979. Find the best tickets for sporting events, music, wrestling, opera, you name it. They have a bunch of great deals on March Madness right now. It's the smartest, easiest way to get tickets for those games. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs coming up, opening day, baseball, a lot of stuff. I've had SeatGeek on my phone for 2+ years. It's by far the easiest way I've found to shop for the best tickets thanks to their revolutionary grading system. Buy and sell tickets with just 2 taps on your phone. Everything fully guaranteed. Try it out. Download the SeatGeek app or go right to SeatGeek.com. We're also brought to you by Channel 33. That is one of the most successful entertainment podcasts right now. And we have a whole bunch of stuff, TV, film, lately Bachelor. And the reason I bring this up is the season finale of The Bachelor was this week. And we had a special Bachelor Party episode hosted by Juliet Littman with Roger Sherman, the greatest Bachelor recapper of all time, and myself. I made a cameo. I came in, I warmed up the audience for Roger Sherman, but I went on that one, so if you want to hear that, go to Channel 33. You can listen to it, subscribe to it. I can't believe you're not subscribing to it already. And we also have a Sports Movie Hall of Fame coming up that is also going to be on Channel 33. So if you want to hear that, we've done 4. This will be the 5th. And if you want to hear it, I would download or subscribe Channel 33. Check it out on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Overcast, on SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast, Channel 33. This one we're going to do all March Madness. We're going to do a March Madness preview. Titus is in the office. Cousin Sal is going to call in to talk about his crazy thing where he's risking his house against anyone who might do a perfect bracket. I can't believe he's doing this. I can't believe he's going to stay married. And then we have the Ringers, Kevin O'Connor, to break down some of the NBA potential of the best guys you're going to see in March Madness. It's all coming up right now, but first, Eddie Vedder. All right, we're taping this on a Tuesday afternoon, so if anything dramatic happens, don't blame us. Mark Titus is here from The Ringer. The original Club Trillion. Now it's just Mark Titus. It's like when a wrestler dumps their first nickname.
Yeah, I remember the first time I came on with you, I got a lot of crap for it. I was very bad. I didn't have my reps, as you like to say.
Is that true?
Yeah, I was on with. Here's a name there's no way you'll remember. A kid named Omar Sanhan who played at.
Oh yeah, Omar was my dude.
He played at St. Mary's. I think we were both seniors in college at the same time, and he and I both came on like the same pod, not together, but we were both on the BS report. And then the feedback was, Omar, cool dude, like that guy. And I was like, that Titus kid, could do without him. So hopefully we do a little better this time.
What was the feedback? When you say there's feedback, like on message boards? Was there even Twitter back then?
Twitter was back then. Yeah, because this was like 2010. So I think I had a Twitter account. I don't know. I was like 22, and I was trying to be funny, and I still am. Now I'm 30, and I'm almost 30, and I'm trying to be funny. So
you're not 30 yet. You like keep adding years to your own life for some reason. So we've known each other forever. Mm-hmm. I reached out to you. You were on Ohio State at the time.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with your blog.
I thought it was a prank. I got an email from an AOL email address. And I was like, and it signed, hey, this is Bill Simmons. I was like, can't possibly be.
Yeah. By the way, you would still be getting an email from that AOL address, and you still have the same feeling. Yeah, I like the blog. I sent it to Kimmel. Kimmel fell in love with it, and then we decided we had to reach out to you. So I reached out to you, and we started talking.
Yeah, and here I am now.
Yeah, you wrote a book.
We wrote a book.
James Baby Doll Dixon helped you with the book offer.
Gave me my favorite all-time story about Hollywood and just like the whole book process when he told me basically no one will give a shit about this book, but I guess I'll do it anyway for you.
Yeah. Baby, nobody cares
about
college basketball.
Old, and I was like, hey, I want to write a book. And he's like, no, you don't. This is a terrible idea. And I was like, okay.
I remember he ripped your book proposal to shreds and hurt your feelings, and I had to intervene. And it turned out Baby knows nothing about book proposals or college basketball. And maybe was the wrong person to ask for advice on that.
Also, I was trying really hard to be in the know and be smart about all this stuff. So he told me, like, hey, type up a book proposal and get it back to me. I was like, yeah, book proposal. Everyone knows what that is. And then I hung up the phone with him. I was like, what the fuck's a book proposal?
Yeah.
And I had to Google it.
How many paragraphs is this?
Yeah, right. So,
well, that book did really well.
It went well, yeah.
Yeah. I still see it occasionally in bookstores when I stalk the sports section to see what books are in there. It plays
really well with like high school guys that are into sports, and and are forced to read. Like, they have to do book reports.
Right.
And so they'll pick my book, and they're like, it was awesome. I'm like, I'm not really sure if that's the demographic I had in mind, but I'll take it.
And we should mention when you're in high school, who was the crew? We've done this before, but
yeah, reminder. AAU team was Odin, Mike Conley, Eric Gordon, Daquan Cook, and Josh McRoberts were our starting five.
Wow,
I came off the bench for that team. Yeah.
That starting five probably made over $300 million in the NBA combined, right?
And 95% of it was Mike.
That's true.
Just this last summer. Yeah. Eric Gordon just won the 3-point contest. Daquan Cook won a 3-point contest. And I was the best shooter on the team. So there you have it.
You never gave up on Eric Gordon.
I never did, no.
Even during his Pelicans dark moments.
Like you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't follow his career as closely as I do the college stuff. But like, he had a lot of injuries, right? Like, he was kind of he's sort of a tragic story. It's just not like he didn't have the bad one. He didn't have like the blown out knees where you're like, oh, he's definitely done. It's just a lot of lingering stuff, right? Isn't that kind of the vibe with him? Yeah.
He never anything that was debilitating, like Chandler Parsons style or something like that, but always something that sent him back. The other thing that was fun with us was Evan Turner was I would say a frenemy for you.
Yeah, frenemy, yeah. And
definitely more than a frenemy in the book, and then he showed up on my Celtics.
He showed up to the Celtics, yeah. And I love getting the emails, like, how should I feel about this guy? And as the season's progressing, to like, I hate this guy, and then I love this guy.
I think I like him. No, I know I like him. And he turned into a beloved Celtic last year.
Yeah, and I get a feeling that he's not beloved so much on his new team.
No, it's too bad.
But
he got paid.
I'll defend. I'll do something I don't think I've ever done in my life and defend Evan. He has to have the ball in his hands, and the reason he was decent in Boston is because Brad Stevens and Thad Matta are tight, and so like Stevens would call him on and be like, "Hey, how do I use this guy?" And Thad's like, very specifically, "Here's what you have to do if you want to be good," and that's what they did, and they put him in a position where he's good. And like, I'm not saying like NBA teams shouldn't bend over backwards to accommodate Evan Turner. But if you can find a way to kind of do that, he can still be good.
Well, if you're going to spend $71 million on him, you might want to use him in the way that he's good at.
Yeah, but he has a very specific skill set, and it's not what he's currently being used as.
When Portland signed him, I thought that meant that he was going to run the ball, and they're going to run the guards off picks. And it's the opposite. The guards have the ball all the time, and he's kind of standing on the side, which we know doesn't work. It's too bad. Yeah. I think he'll find – I was actually hoping that he was going to be traded for Rudy Gay and go to Sacramento and just be the guy who always has the ball on Boogie's team, but then that dream got dashed for a variety of reasons.
I just thought about this, my Evan story. So he got his jersey retired at Ohio State because he was the National Player of the Year. And so they had a big ceremony for it. He came back during like the All-Star break because he didn't make the All-Star team. And a little shot at Evan. So they're doing it during the All-Star break or something. And I went to the ceremony and I was like, no bullshit. I'm going to support him. Like I've had like this kind of fake feud. Kind of sometimes it was real, sometimes not. I was like, this is going to be the time where I just completely support the guy. And I show up to this pre-game ceremony for him. And I pull him off to the side. I'm like, hey, man, I just wanted to say, like, this is awesome. And I've always loved you. And I'm like, whether you think so or not, like, I'm really, really happy for you. And this is awesome. And I said, who would have ever thought when you were a freshman here that a few years later you'd be having your jersey retired? Because he had, like, it's like kind of a slow traditional start to college. Like, he was unheralded recruit. So I was expecting him to be like, I know, man, it's been a wild ride. Instead, he's like, I did. Honestly, I did. You know, that was his response. And I was like, this dude, he's never changed. I love him. God love him. That's why we love him. So
I think that's why he turned out to be a belated, effective NBA player, though.
Yeah, right.
He's on Celtics last year, and he's really thought he was the best guy in the team.
He's still, I guarantee he's in Portland. Like, why am I not, like, the guy on this team? I don't understand it.
I don't care how many points Lillard and McCollum are getting together. So, the tournament's coming.
Yeah.
And I would... You know, as the diehard casual fan of college basketball who only really follows because of the draft prospects, things like that, it's so weird to me that for the second straight year, the best player in college basketball is not going to be in the tournament. Don't you think we should maybe like the 16 seed just gets to add, or they have a lottery? Like,
awesome.
Like he could just show up on Vermont.
That would be awesome
for one game, but he can only play like 10 minutes.
Well, that's the big. Kind of when college basketball fans get bored and they come up with like scenarios to talk about, that's kind of what you're saying, is they'd say like, what would happen if we put LeBron on, you know, like one of these mid-majors? Could they make the Elite Eight or something like that? So yeah, I'm all for that. I think people would want to see that. Why not?
So you think LeBron. So LeBron and how about this? LeBron and 4 guys who played college basketball but didn't have more than 100 minutes of game time.
So me, LeBron and 4 guys like
you,
me.
LeBron, and 3 other guys.
Yeah,
is like a 9 seed.
We'd be pretty good. You'd have to find. I think the goal with that would be to find guys like me who have. The reason we don't play is because we're bad at a lot of stuff, but like the things we're good at, we're very good at.
Yeah.
Like I can shoot really, really well. Everything else, I'm awful at.
Yeah.
So if you got like a good shooter, like just a big guy who can rebound and stuff like that, I think we'd be good. Because there are a lot of guys like that. Like a lot of the walk-ons. That's what people think walk-ons in college basketball are terrible. They're not. They're just not like diverse with their skills. They just have like one specific skill set. So
Westbrook would be the most fun for this game.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And he would try to kill everybody.
He'd try to kill everyone. Yeah. Nobody in college would have ever seen anything like it. But yeah, so not having Markelle Fultz is a bummer.
It is a bummer.
But there's a lot of good college players that I'm excited to see. I've really been impressed by Tatum, and I never want to like Duke guys, but the guy's just a good scorer.
He's a very good scorer. He's had an interesting season. Just kind of like at the beginning of the year, Grayson Allen was Duke's best player.
Yeah,
like he was preseason player of the year in college basketball. So. He was the guy, and then they start playing, and Luke Kennard starts becoming the guy who like is going to be. I think he's going to be a great NBA player as well.
He's a sleeper who's suddenly not becoming a sleeper because I think people can smell it.
So Luke Kennard becomes the guy, and then Jayson Tatum this whole time is like, when do I get to become the guy? Because I came here to be the guy.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of just done it himself and said like, I'm okay. You guys can try to do your thing. I'm going to do mine, and it's gotten to a point where it's you can't ignore like what he's doing. So,
you know what's crazy about that, and then we're gonna go to Cousin Sal and come back to this. So you have the preseason player of the year, and now he's the 3rd best player in his own team, and didn't get injured or anything.
And that's why people, when you wonder why the media loves Duke or like Duke's like the hot team and are they back and all this kind of stuff, it's because of what you just said. Like Duke has 3 guys that are future pros that you can just throw the ball to and be like, hey, go get us a bucket, and that's a rarity.
And none of them is Harry Giles.
And none of them is Harry Giles, right?
All right, Cousin Sal is on the line, but first let's talk about Sonos, our old friends. It's the wireless home sound system that fills your home with pulse-pounding sound, and it streams your favorite music to every single room of your house or your apartment, wherever you live. Position your speaker where you want it, plug it in, tap the app, stream anything you want to hear via Wi-Fi, and that's it. No wires, no tricky programming, no kidding. Control your music with one simple app on your phone or iPad or any other device. Fill your home with pure immersive sound and use any and all of your favorite music services. You control everything from the choice of songs to the volume to the rooms. Play your music in any room or every room at once, or play a different song in the living room, bedroom, bathroom, multiple bathrooms. Play the same track in every room. Do whatever you want. How can you have a party without Sonos? I don't understand. I really don't. I think you should get Sonos. Add your existing music services or discover something new. Go to Sonos.com right now. SONOS.com. Sonos. Check it out. Here we go, Cousin Sal. Cousin Sal is on the line right now. Hi, Cousin Sal.
What's happening? Who do we have here? I don't even know what's going on.
Mark Titus is in the studio. We just told the story about when Baby Doll got his book proposal and told him it was terrible and really hurt his feelings. So Mark Titus was like 22. He's like, this is terrible. You got to rewrite this. This is not a book proposal.
You'll never find a new career. This is not for you.
So as I
see, this is why I don't mind padding the bill when we go out to a restaurant $2,000-$3,000, because how much did he make off that bill? If it's even anything. It's disgraceful.
He did well in the book, and not just that, but he proved that he didn't know anything about book proposals or college basketball, which is he's a great guy to help out with the project. We were talking about Duke, Sal, and just can you work your magic and bet on Duke to win the title so we don't have to actually watch them work the title, because you're on the worst gambling streak anyone's ever been on in the history of mankind.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and I'm about to lose something even bigger, but I like SMU. Have you guys talked about that? I think that's a nice 6 that could upset Duke.
SMU could upset Duke. That's a good
right. They're a scoring machine. They're like 30 or 40 to 1 to win this whole thing, and that would be my mid to long range prop pick. I think if I had to go with one.
We're just going to talk about that about long shot bets. SMU 30-1, by the way. But before we do, you have the longest shot bet anyone's ever done. You told me about this. I got frightened for you. I told you not to do it. I was scared. I was scared for your marriage and your family, and you did it anyway. Yeah. So tell the audience what you did.
Right now, you can go to cousinsalbetsthehouse.com or si.com and fill out a bracket. And if the winningest bracket gets $25,000, but if you're able to fill out a perfect bracket, you get to keep my house.
Right.
That's fair enough, right?
You literally get your house. You bet your house that nobody can have a perfect bracket. You are the same person who single-handedly won the presidential election. You single-handedly inspired the Cavs to come back from a 3-1 deficit.
Against a 73-win team.
Yeah, against a 73-win team. You were on the wrong side of the greatest Super Bowl comeback ever, not even close. You were on that side. And then there was one other one.
Well, if you want to count this, I had La La Land.
Yeah. And you had La La Land.
And they did win.
And then as it turns out, I just found out from your dad, you had Team USA in 1972 when they thought they won the gold medal against the Russians. You were 1.5 years old, but you bet somebody in preschool and you lost that. So it's really an amazing
run. It's been a banner year, yeah. I told him to keep his mouth shut about that, but yeah, he had to make it public. Yeah, I tell people it's like 9.2 quintillion to 1 to fill out a perfect bracket, but if it's going to happen against anyone, I'm your guy. Titus, I forgot. This is how crazy things are. I forgot. I had Northern Iowa over Texas A&M up 12 with 48 seconds left, and they lost the game in overtime.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah.
That was last March. That wasn't that long ago.
That was amazing. Yeah,
I remember when we did the Grantland Live a couple times. Yeah, in 2012, 2013, and Sal's like, I just bet no buzzer beaters for day one or whatever, and I think it was the first game there was a buzzer beater. It was just immediately
it was definitely that first round of games. Yeah, and I'm doing it again this year. Wise ass, minus 150, no buzzer beaters. I'm going with it. If there's any time left on the clock, if they inbound the ball, I'm still alive. Yeah, that's for the Thursday-Friday game.
What is fun about that bet? What is fun about betting against a buzzer beater? Titus, what's more fun than a buzzer beater?
Right. Why would you cheer? I don't know.
Here's what's fun. I don't have to check every game until there's like 2.5 minutes left. So if I'm on my phone or doing something else, that's nice. And a lot of these are they're out of hand anyway that early on. But it's not really that fun. I don't know why I do it. I'm trying to think now.
Well, Sal, is your wife? Is she happy about this bet the house thing or no?
Has she reached out to your wife? I mean, she's furious with me. She wasn't talking to me yesterday, and then she made an announcement that she's just going to marry whoever. She's not leaving the house, and she'll just marry whoever moves in.
Added incentive. You get a wife out of this. You should add that to the rules.
A wife and a house. Yeah.
Get to be a stepfather or a stepmother, whatever you end up being. So
exactly.
Sal, one talent you do have with gambling is a spidey sense for when somebody is becoming a little too popular as a trendy pick.
Are we sure they're good?
Right. As the people like Corolla and Daniel and some of our friends, they start gravitating. You know those people, Titus. Who is that team this year? Who is the trendy, we have to stay away from that team because Corolla likes them team?
Well, it's weird. I know you talked enough about Duke, but it seems like an 8-loss team is getting a lot of heat for, they're 6-1. They're favored to win this whole thing. It's like, all right, they haven't put together 6 good games in all year, I don't think. I mean, maybe there's a little run a few weeks ago, but I know what you're looking for, and I think it's mid-Tennessee State. I think they're overvalued here. I think they're giving, they started, they were getting 1.5, and now they might be giving 1.5 or 2, and they play against Minnesota, and I think Richard Pitino has his team ready. That's a close game. I think it's in Milwaukee. They'll have the fans on their side. So what do you guys think of that?
Titus made a face when you said Duke hadn't put together more than 6 games.
I was making a face about Duke being favored. Are they the favorites?
Well, they're the number 2 favorite right now. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So here it is right now. It's UNC is 6-1, Duke 7-1, Kansas 7-1, Villanova 8-1, Gonzaga's plus 850, Arizona 900. I don't get that at all. Kentucky 1100. UCLA 1,200, and then it goes a little higher up to Louisville. But the teams that have, lottery picks and guys like that are Kentucky and Duke and UCLA, and that's usually when there's more than a couple on the same team. That's usually an indicator.
Yeah, Duke's problem. They have clearly the most talent. I don't think it's worth debating that they have the most talent in the tournament. They're just not like a good team. They don't fit together well at all. And you've seen that all season when they lose the teams they shouldn't. It's because they don't have the chemistry. Like if they were an NBA team, they'd be they'd trade one of their superstars, and try to get some get some pieces. So, and then the other thing with Duke coming back, like they're hot, like Sal said, they won the ACC tournament, all that. But if you actually watch those games, they're down like 15 in the first half in all these games, and they have to scrap and claw their way to get back. It's not like they're steamrolling these teams by 20 and playing really well. So that's going to be, and they don't have a point guard. They don't play great defense. They just the way they win is they overwhelm people with talent. They're like, we have 9 McDonald's All-Americans and 4 future NBA players or whatever it is they have, and you don't, and so we're going to beat you. And that's how they do it.
Hands everywhere, every play on defense, hands flying around, and they make their free throws, and that's usually how it happens, right?
Sal, Tate hosts a podcast with Titus. You've dealt with Tate a lot. You know how much Tate hates Duke. Tate has this irrational might not even be totally rational. He's convinced that whenever Coach K doesn't like his team, he quits on the team and comes up with a fake reason to leave the season. So when he had his back surgery, Tate, in all seriousness, not with no irony at all, was like, see, this is what he does. This is what he does when he doesn't like his team.
Have you heard about his back since?
Yeah, as Tate points out,
true.
not a lot of coverage of Coach K's back since this.
Also,
so now Coach K likes his team again.
The other thing we should point out is that he had the back surgery right after their first, or it wasn't their first loss, but it was like they lost. It was their first ACC loss. It was a bad loss. And that was when he was like, you know what? By the way, I do have this back thing, don't I?
Yeah, I think I have a herniated disc.
He never does this when they're rolling. And he's like, well, we're rolling, but unfortunately I got to step away for back surgery.
So the Duke resurgence combined with Duke beating UNC 2 times in a row and then winning the tournament. Tate's I mean, you've seen good Tate. Tate's surly. Like he's just
I was just going to say, I didn't think he had a mean-spirited bone in his body, and this is what Coach K is what brings it out of him.
And it's just Duke. It's when JJ Redick was here, and Tate was just not friendly. It was just flat out not very friendly to JJ Redick. And at some point, I brought up the UNC Duke thing, and then JJ Redick thought I was kidding at first, but then Tate wasn't really joking.
Yeah,
and he loved it, and he started kind of fucking with Tate about UNC a little bit, and it was great. I loved it. It was the best. Yeah, UNC and Duke is the number 1 rivalry, I think, in any sport. I think that's the most hatred. I really do. I don't Yankees Red Sox doesn't have the same hatred anymore since both sides won.
I'll chime in and say part of why Tate hates Duke so much is because Duke is clearly better. Maybe Duke doesn't hate Carolina because they're better than Carolina.
Well, now it's like a condescending. It's like, oh yeah, you guys.
Is there a rivalry? We didn't realize.
Yeah,
we're too busy kicking your ass to notice.
The
we
Yankee
have rivalries with everybody.
The Yankee fans did that to us for
100
100 years. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
Tate was also telling me the other day how he hates Northwestern because you guys work with 3 or 4 people from Northwestern.
No, 3 or 4. It's like 100.
Everybody.
It's a whole staff. Yeah.
Carolina wouldn't be able to face them until the Final Four. That's a shame. That would have been fun if they got knocked off by Northwestern.
Tate's had it with Northwestern. If Chris Collins goes from Northwestern to Duke, Tate might just take him out in his automobile or something. Just get rid of him. Yeah, I think this is all good for Duke haters because there's too much Duke title momentum right now. There's no college rivalry with that much hatred other than, I mean, they're number 1, right, Titus?
They're, as far as a national scale, they're number 1. Kentucky, Louisville is kind of.
Oh, that's up there. Yeah, that's 1A, 1B.
The one that you guys don't want to talk about and don't care, I'm just going to say it because the fans will kill me if I don't, is Cincinnati Xavier. That is, I've gone to a Cincinnati Xavier game. And I saw an old man with white hair put his hands on the neck of a 14-year-old boy because he was wearing a different colored shirt. And I'm not going to say which team was which, but that guy, that was the most heated thing I'd ever seen. But no one cares about it because they're not that great a team. But
if you're the old man, please call in now if you're still alive. Because we need to know which
Here's our number. UCLA and USC is a really good rivalry, and there's real disdain on both sides. But not at the the level of the other 3 schools. Like Kentucky and Louisville. If you told a Kentucky person we can frame Rick Pitino for something, and it probably won't get traced back to you, but there's a 90% chance it won't. Are you in? They'd be like, I'm in. What do we have to do?
Part of what makes people think Kentucky and Louisville is bigger is like there's a thing where they only play once a year because they're not in the same conference, but there's also no pro sports in Kentucky. Like those are the teams to those people. That's it. They don't like maybe Duke and Carolina fans agree they like the Panthers or something, or they can find common ground.
No
like
Duke
Kentucky,
fans live in North Carolina.
Kentucky.
No Duke fans live in Carolina. Tate just said.
Kentucky's
getting agitated.
Titus, let me ask you this. To that point, did the committee F with the algorithm a little and set up Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, and Florida State and Florida Gulf Coast just to have a little something going
This isn't the answer you want, but it's the real answer, is that they just base everything off of geography. So that's how you always get these matchups. Like, if you get teams that are they just try to put the teams closest to the cities that they're closest to. So that's how Louisville and Kentucky always seem to end up playing like recently because they're not in the same conference. There are rules about like not being in the same conference. They can't be in the same bracket. That's why like Duke and Carolina aren't. But then Kentucky and Louisville can be because of that. So it seems complicated, but it's not. But
all right, I like the conspiracy
but I like the
theory
conspiracy
better,
too.
but that's okay.
That's the answer we didn't want. Yeah.
So
now let me ask you this real quick. I'm sorry, Simmons. One of my great favorite bets, you could bet the conference wins over under.
Yeah,
I saw ACC at 15. That's almost. I think that's the highest I've seen.
That's ridiculous.
I think
That's
that's the high. Now, I don't know that Wake Forest would count as a win. I guess it does all count towards it.
Yeah.
The play-in game, but do you think it's a lot? But maybe it's possible. Maybe Carolina wins 5 games. Maybe Duke wins 3 or 4, and then you have to get a couple from each the rest of the way.
You would have to have Duke or Carolina have to make the finals to get to 15.
Right.
I think.
I'm just curious. Do you know what the Big Ten number is? Was it like 1.5?
What do you?
Let me look it up.
I'm surprised.
Well, yeah, you're right. It is 1.5. In fact, no. Wow, they don't have. They have Big 12. Big 12 is 9.5.
Okay, Big 12 is that.
Big East is 8. Pac-12 is 6.5.
And Big 10's less than that.
That's all they have. They don't have the others.
Pac-12 6.5.
Well, they got good teams. They got
Arizona.
3 good teams.
No, that seems low.
Oh yeah, okay.
Arizona and UCLA alone could get to 6, right?
Oregon will win 1 or 2, right? Should.
Wow, that seems low.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Pac-12 this year just because of Lonzo and just because it's on at night when I'm home. And I thought UCLA, Oregon, and Arizona, I thought those were 3 really polished teams. You don't agree, Titus?
And you get a free one with USC.
It's. I mean, there's a reason a West Coast team hasn't won in 20 years.
Oh, shit.
There's a thing.
Oh.
Some would say, I mean, maybe they're soft, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Well, that's before the Ball brothers were driving $100,000 BMWs, even though one of us was in high school. What the hell is that? Why do you admit that?
It is interesting, though, because the Final Four is in Phoenix, so I don't remember the stat. I think this might be the first one since 95 that's out west. This
6.5
might be the year to do it, like for a West Coast team to.
6.5
So
is.
which conference, because they also have a couple of the conferences, will an ACC team win the tournament? Plus 155 is yes. Will a Big East team win? 7-1 odds. That's probably not going to happen. Big 12, 5-1. SEC, 8-1. And Big 10 is 16-1.
No.
And that over-under I found is 6.5 for Big 10.
So SEC is Kentucky
and Florida and South Carolina.
Yeah, that's
Vanderbilt. Like it's basically if you're betting on that, you're betting on Kentucky.
Yeah, you just bet on Kentucky.
Same with Big East. If you're betting on that, you're just betting on Villanova, basically.
Villanova.
That's pretty much it.
Titus thinks Kentucky's going to win the whole thing.
Really?
I mean, if he had to bet.
I'm not sure if that's true, but it is true. But yeah, maybe.
Well, you picked it in your
What
pool.
do you mean if you had to bet? He should have to bet. He should absolutely have to bet.
He's a terrible better.
Tate and I were filling out a bracket, and we were just kind of like going with it, and it just sort of happened. And we may or may not have been pandering too, because we knew that Kentucky fans are the craziest, and we just picked them. They would like us. But yeah, Kentucky. So I have this thing about guards and defense, and that's what matters in the tournament more so than that's why I don't trust UCLA's, because it's a 1-game thing. You can go cold, you lose, you're out. If it was best of 7, UCLA could adjust, start hitting the next game, but that's not how it works. So Kentucky plays good defense when they're actually trying and playing defense and engaged and stuff. And then they got 2 guards that are going to be lottery picks, or should be. So
that is a tough 2, though. You have Wichita State, potentially UCLA, and North Carolina before you even get to the Final Four.
They do have the hardest draw, though. They have the hardest draw in the tournament, for sure.
The thing that I don't like about UCLA is, and I don't know how many times it's happened this year, but I personally witnessed it at least 3 times, they'll fall behind by like 13.
Yeah.
And then they have to do this thing where they rally back. And I can't tell if it's because Steve Alford's just a terrible coach or what's going on. But it seems like it takes them a while to find their rhythm. And if that happens in the tournament, you're in major trouble because the guys are super nervous. They're on TV. And then, it's not like
it just happened in the Pac-12 tournament when they lost to Arizona. They shot like 3 for 20 or something. Or I forget what it was. They were really bad from the 3-point line. And like that, and the Pac-12 tournament, I know you can roll your eyes and say, like, there's nothing to play for, but they actually were playing for seeds because one of those schools got to stay out west, which ended up being Arizona because they won it, and then Oregon and UCLA got sent to other regions. So they were trying to, that was pretty much like an NCAA tournament game, and they went cold, and that's what happened.
So the Pac-12 6.5 sounds like a stay away.
Yeah, because I mean that's just a high variance type situation. Like, of course, any of those teams could. Arizona seems to be the best bet of those teams to me. Like, Arizona could, especially with the Final Four in Arizona.
Boring.
But yeah,
the Big Ten bet, is that really 1.5, Sal?
The Big Ten? No, I was kidding there. What did I say it was? Big Ten is 6.5 also.
What do you think of that one, Titus?
The Big Ten has a lot of teams in the tournament. That's what helps.
Because it always seems like they win in round 1 and then they get bounced.
They have one.
The problem is you don't have perennial Michigan State. That's not a lock. That's a pick 'em in the first game. So
what happened to Michigan State this year?
Izzo sold his soul. He's playing the one and done game, and he wasn't ready for it. Yeah, he wasn't ready. He thought, like, I want a taste of that, and you're like, no, you don't want a taste of that.
That's like when Coach K someday he'll sell his soul and do. Oh wait, he's been doing it for 10 years. Pretending he's not.
No, Michigan State had a lot of injuries, so like their entire team is either injured or a freshman, and Izzo's like pulling his hair out. And
that's too bad. Sal, what's your lock of the weekend other than losing your house?
I actually am going with Minnesota over Mid-Tennessee State.
Okay.
That's a Thursday game. For all the reasons I gave, I think Mid-Tennessee State is overvalued here. They take care of business against the weaker squads, but Minnesota's decent. I've seen them before. And I think I'm going North Carolina to win the whole thing.
North Carolina? Is that a Tate pander?
No, I love you, Cousin Sal. You're the best.
No, Tate's so happy. Like he's almost in tears.
Tate, I think if there's ever been a 1 seed that's been undervalued, aside from the Gonzagas of the world that people don't latch onto, I think it's North Carolina. I really do. I think he played a little possum against Duke. I go back to the.
Ooh, what do we think of that theory? Playing
game.
Possum.
Yeah, under the radar.
Yes.
Oh.
Sal, does it bother you that Carolina has beaten one tournament team away from home, like since Thanksgiving?
You made that up. You made that up. That's right.
Did I make that up?
Because it's fake. It's fake news, so it doesn't bother me.
It's fake.
Because I crunched the numbers. They're gonna have to beat tournament teams away from home to win this thing. They're gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
What about?
Yeah, I know. I go coaching here.
I've been screwing with Tate about that.
What about the defending champs?
I like Villanova. I would explain Villanova as the Cavs of college basketball, not just because they won it, but they seem to just be in this mode of where they like do just enough to get. They're like all season they were just doing just enough to get a 1 seed.
Yeah.
They had a great record, so it wasn't like they were losing games they shouldn't. But they never really had like those moments of like, holy shit, Villanova, like this team's unstoppable. They're just kind of going about their business. So yeah, I mean I like them. It's I don't think they're as good as they were last year, and that sort of is worrisome. But
Kansas is another one that's kind of everyone's bored. They kind of peaked from an interest standpoint 3 weeks ago, and now they're under the radar.
Yeah,
I think I could see Nevada, Iowa State winner taking down Kansas.
See, that's what I mean.
Wow.
They remember that 3 weeks ago they were unbeatable.
Yeah, well, Kansas, they're sort of the same way. They've had a ton of close games this year. They win them all, which is it's better than losing them, I guess. But they're still in a lot of close games, playing with fire. 4-guard lineup for Bill Self. That's kind of new for him. So we'll see.
So Sal, you're
gambler. I can't latch on to any of these darling teams like Rhode Island. I picked them 3 weeks ago. I had them on a money line parlay. They were like a 15-point favorite, and they scored 40 at home. It was disgraceful. So I've been beaten up by almost everyone.
So short term, you're going to parlay Minnesota in round 1. I still call it round 1, even though it's not round 1. You parlay them with you sleeping in Jimmy's guest room for the next 3 months.
Listen, everyone, I want you to fill out a bracket because I'd rather have someone who I know take over the house and my wife. Could Greg Oden fill it out, Titus? That would be fun, right? Let him win.
We're going to work on Greg Oden. All right, good luck, Sal.
All right, thanks,
I hope you don't lose your house.
Okay, great.
Hey, tell everyone where to go again for it.
Oh, go to cousinsalbetsthehouse.com or si.com and fill out a bracket and win my house, please. I've been in it too long.
Wait, you didn't tell us where Tony Romo's going.
I think it's Houston or bust. I think
Houston or Fox.
Houston or bust, or retirement. I would say. I don't know. I think everyone's effing with each other at this point, and I think they'll get a deal done. He can't be done. It's going to keep going.
He could have the number 2 Fox, the John Lynch job, or the studio job if he wanted it.
Yeah.
Move to LA and hang out with us.
If that would be great too. If Jerry Jones has a heart attack and passes away while he's banging a Hooters waitress, does Romo never get released? I don't know what it says in the contract about that.
Stays there forever.
Yeah, that's it.
Sal, are you prepared
for
the?
Let me get going before I get out of
trouble. Oh yeah, go. All right, bye.
All right, bye.
All right, we're bringing in Kevin O'Connor right now, but first let's talk about propercloth.com. Every guy knows that it's hard to find a dress shirt that fits. Collar might be too tight. Sleeves might be too long. Shirt might be too loose. Well, guess what? I have some good news for you. Ordering a custom fit shirt has never been easier thanks to Proper Cloth. Create a custom shirt size in seconds by just answering 10 easy questions. No measuring required. Over 500 fabric styles to choose from. Everything from classic business to casual shirts. All high quality starting at just $85. Proper Cloth has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Google and Yelp. It's the highest rated custom shirt maker on Google. Find out why GQ calls them their favorite online custom shirt maker. Go to their easy-to-use website, make a custom profile, even order from your phone. And by the way, Proper Cloth guarantees a perfect fit. Remakes are free. The Proper Cloth team makes it super easy to do. Stop wearing shirts that don't fit. Look your best. Go to propercloth.com/BS and enter gift code BS. That happens to be my initials. But if you enter gift code BS, you save $20 on your first shirt. Again, propercloth.com/BS. Gift code BS. All right, let's bring in Kevin O'Connor. All right, we're back. Don't ever forget Cousin Sal's always the best. So you want to talk about Gonzaga really quick?
Well, yeah, I think Gonzaga is the best team in the country, which, I'm sure shocks you and anyone who doesn't really pay that much of attention. They just, are the most complete team. They lost one game at home, and it was a terrible matchup. And
who'd they lose to?
To BYU, who, BYU has won, is it 3 years in a row now, Tate? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 years in a row at Gonzaga. It's just, one of those matchups that just, they just don't have an answer for. And
why don't they have an answer for it?
Just the way their style of play. BYU is just kind of up and down and bombs threes, and they make them because they're excited to be playing Gonzaga. And, Gonzaga just...
They're also very sexually frustrated.
Yeah, they're sexually frustrated.
I mean, there's no sex on that campus.
So, but I think a lot of people love to hate Gonzaga for some. The comparison I'd make with WrestleMania season around the corner. Gonzaga is like the Roman Reigns.
Oh.
Of college basketball. They're they're being pushed to the top. People don't like it. You don't deserve your place up here. So to that, I would say I think they do deserve it. And I don't know. People look for reasons to hate them, and they lost a game, but it wasn't. It wasn't damning for how they lost to me. So. Well,
I wonder during the same year that a black contestant made the Final Three in The Bachelor. If Gonzaga making the Final Four, there's always been parallels between the two runs.
Yeah, Gonzaga. There's this narrative that Gonzaga gets a 1 seed every year because they don't play anybody, and then they lose in the second round, and that's happened once. It happened a few years ago when Wichita State beat them, but otherwise they're actually not usually that good. They usually get a 6 seed and then lose when they're supposed to. They haven't been upset in 8 years, or they've been upset once. They've been upset once the Wichita State game in 8 years. So. Yeah, I believe in Gonzaga. I don't necessarily think they're going to win it, but
plus they're tested every year against those tough Australians from St. Mary's. St. Mary's just gets the best of Australia every year.
You're absolutely, yeah. Straight St. Mary's has 7 Australians on their team. I can't
And they're all like great guys to hang out with. Did you ever have an Australian at Ohio State?
We had a Serbian and a Greek, and I think that was it.
The Ringer's Kevin O'Connor is on the phone. Yeah. Kevin O'Connor, what's your favorite country for a basketball teammate? If you had to pick a country, not America.
Got to be Croatian.
That's where I am too. I like the Croatians.
Dario Saric. I'd take that guy on my team any day.
They're tough. They seem like good hangs.
Yeah.
They've been around good-looking women their whole life because Croatian women are, they know how to act socially. So Kevin does this draft guide that's really awesome every year that I think he's going to do again and with the Ringer. But he watches all these dudes.
True.
He is very good at picking potential. Titus is also good. You approach it from different ways. You're like you're almost like two, I don't know, sociologists that look at anthropology differently but come to the similar conclusions, right?
I mean, I'm definitely more concerned with what you're doing in college, like now, which is, I wrote a piece for the Ringer about Markelle Fultz, and I think like that was kind of my angle, like, hey, everybody, Markelle Fultz isn't just going to be good, like he is really good right now, and that was, so I'm less interested in the guys that have a lot of potential and aren't that good right now.
Whereas O'Connor and I look at it like it's like the real world leading into the Real World Road Roast Challenge. Yeah, it's the feeder system to the bigger ecosystem. Although you're probably in the middle of those two worlds, O'Connor, because you love the college too. But this is, you would say, unquestionably the best class of, the best tournament class of talent that we've had this decade, or was there another year that you like more?
It's pretty damn good. I think it's probably the best one that I've done over the last 3 or 4 years. I think it's disappointing that Fultz isn't in it, but at the same time, we have almost everybody else except for Dennis Smith.
Right.
I think there's a lot of guys for us to watch this year.
So we're missing Dennis Smith, and we're missing the number 1 pick and maybe one of the best sure thing guards in the last 5 years. But other than that, we have everybody. O'Connor, who's your favorite? I'm not saying who's going to get drafted the highest. I'm saying who's the one who won your heart this year?
So coming into the year, I didn't love Lonzo Ball, but he completely won my heart over. I've grown to get over his ugly shooting mechanics and just live with it. Granted, I still think it could be a problem at the next level. I think he's still better than I ever could have expected him to be as a shooter, and his passing, as everybody knows, is just outrageous. One of the best passing ability we've seen. High basketball IQ. Lonzo Ball is ridiculous as a passer.
You know, Titus is down on all West Coast teams because he's in the Midwest and they just look down on West Coast basketball.
They're soft.
But I will say this about Lonzo, and this is like the rarest point you can get to as a basketball player, and the fact that he did it during the course of a college season is amazing to me. The way he plays is contagious, and I really think like from what I saw, by the end of the season, all those UCLA guys were looking to make the extra pass or be cool and very unselfish. And it's because of the way he plays. And as you know, Titus, when you're playing with somebody like that every day in practice, you just start kind of emulating what he does. And I think that speaks a lot to who he is.
Yeah, UCLA was not a good team last year, and they added him, and TJ Leaf is really good too. And he shouldn't be discounted. But, yeah, it's not like they made – like they got rid of a lot of guys and brought in a new class and all that kind of stuff. They basically added like 2 guys to a not good team, and they completely turned them into one of the best teams in the country. So.
Like Bird and Magic, the 2 best passers of our lifetimes. I guess my lifetime. You guys got the tail end.
I saw Bird Magic, yeah.
But like McHale would make good passes with Larry Bird. That guy was a black hole. And like on the Lakers, you got guys like Worthy and Kareem. Like those guys would make. When you're around that 3 hours a day, your just mind starts drifting toward it. And I never thought that would work in college, but it worked.
Lonzo Ball made Bryce Alford fun, and
which is impossible. Yeah.
Like he's his coach's son that was shooting 30 times a game on shitty teams, and didn't really, and then now like Bryce Alford is fun to watch, and so that's
It's like if the Celtics get Lonzo, if they have a chance to pick Lonzo or Fultz. Both of them are so fascinating with the team the Celtics already have. Both of them, I think, could play with Isaiah. and I think they would bring totally different things to the table. But Tatum on Duke is somebody that's really kind of emerged/evolved over the last few weeks. And O'Connor, you compared him to Danny Granger and a couple other people, but I really like the Danny Granger comparison. Danny Granger was great. Before he got hurt, he was 25, 26 a night. Do you think Tatum could be 25, 26 a night in the NBA?
Yeah, I think he could be, and I think, over the past 2-3 weeks or so, we've definitely seen that. At the beginning of the year with Tatum, I mean, he was injured at the start of the season. He had to integrate himself into Duke's system. It's not like they made him the guy right away. He kind of had to find his own way. And I think with that first impression, he kind of soured in a lot of people's eyes. But at this point, I'm kind of just forgetting about that just because of the circumstances he had to deal with. And I think the guy we're seeing now is kind of actually who he is. And will he carry that on through the tournament? We'll see. I just see a guy like with Granger. He can create his shot in any way he can. I think Granger was a great shooter in the NBA, but if you look at his early college numbers, he wasn't a great shooter then either. And Tatum has a ways to go, but I think his shooting is easily projectable.
What about my dude Malik Monk?
Are you still as high on him, Bill?
Yeah. I am convinced that you talked about how Duke had a team that, although they had the wrong pieces but a lot of talent and it didn't quite fit together. I just want to see Malik Monk with the ball. And I know Fox played well in the tournament. And
Fox is very good.
I get it.
He's very good.
I get it.
He's left-handed too. Don't you love left-handers?
I do. I also like point guards that can shoot, and
That's
I'm
true.
not convinced he can shoot.
Yeah, he can't really shoot.
When I watch Monk, I just feel like he'd be unstoppable if you revolve the offense around him. And I know we'll probably see it at the next level in some form, but there's been halves that he had this season that rank way, way, way up there. You're talking like 30 points and a half. Like that doesn't happen in college.
I'll step in and say you haven't seen every half of his though. And
no,
he'll
disappear. Yeah. No, he does. I've seen it.
And it is not Calipari's fault or Fox's fault. It's Monk's fault. And my other concern with him is when he's not making shots, he kind of shuts down on every other facet of the game.
He gets stand in the corneritis.
Yeah.
I noticed. I was on the SEC network watching them play shitty teams, kind of hoping he'd get hot. Where do you stand, O'Connor?
I mean, I'm with Titus in the sense that when he's not scoring, what else does he do for you? But at the same time, to kind of play devil's advocate to that, you could have said the same thing about Devin Booker in college too, because he didn't run any points. So if Monk wasn't with Fox, maybe when he wasn't scoring, he would be taking on more of that playmaking role. I think he does have more of that ability than he's actually shown, because as we've seen with a lot of Kentucky guys, they don't always get the opportunity because there's so many good players on those teams. Fox is the point guard, so Monk isn't going to have the opportunity to do that. I think it's there for him, but at the same time, to that point, I still do have questions about what else he does when he's not scoring from the outside, because he doesn't make it up on the defensive end either.
Well, we live in an NBA world where Houston is going to average 43s a game this season, and I think there's like 8 or 9 other teams that are averaging 30. I know he can do that. Not to mention the heat check part of it. It'll be interesting to see where he goes because, as we said, this draft's loaded, and Tatum versus Jackson is going to be the 3 or 4 spot, right? Who do you like Jackson a little bit more, right?
I like Jackson. I like them both. It's hard. I like Tatum actually probably more as a college guy. I think I like Jackson. Jackson seems more versatile to me. But again, this is like going back to like how I watch the sport.
Right.
Like, it's not. I'm not.
I
really
know.
projecting.
I'm tainting your love right now.
I don't really project to the league, but like Jackson. The reason I like Jackson more, if I do, which I'm starting to kind of love Tatum how he's been playing, is just that Jackson sort of changed completely how Kansas plays. He's made Bill Self go to a 4-guard lineup, which is just crazy to hear myself say that out loud because Bill Self is just like his old school inside-outside coach. So the fact that Jackson's guarding big dudes and then stepping out and hitting threes and slashing and all that kind of stuff like that stands out. He's got a weird looking jump shot too, though.
Well, let me ask you the important question: since you played basketball your entire life, who would you rather play with?
Definitely
you're
Jackson.
in pickup.
Definitely Jackson.
Who would you rather play with, Monk or Fox?
Oh, Monk. Because I get Monk. I feel like Monk is like better, like a much better version of what I am as a player. So I get him. I would totally understand. Like he'd hit a couple, and I'd be like, okay, we have to get this man the ball.
Yeah,
that's my pet peeve.
Check.
When you're playing pickup and a dude's hit like 2 or 3 in a row and he doesn't shoot it the next time down, you should never be able to play in those games again. Like whoever organizes the game should kick your ass out.
I was at my son's 9-year-old basketball game. They were in the semifinals, and then they lost in the finals. And there's this kid on his team who just got hot. And it's funny how the heat check can happen at any level. And this kid got hot, and he made like 8 straight baskets over the course of like 5 minutes. And I just screamed out, "Heat check!" And everybody thought I was an insane person. Nobody got it. It went over the heads of all the California moms.
Yeah.
They were like, "Why is this person yelling heat check?" Kevin, who do you like more, Tatum or Jackson?
I'm kind of Tatum slightly over Jackson right now, but in many ways it's a coin flip and largely dependent on the situation. I think Tatum has higher potential as a go-to scorer, but at the same time, Jackson has shown flashes. Like he can pull off step-back jumpers and create space for himself. I just see Tatum as the better shooter, and that's a big thing for me. I like both of them a lot, though. Like they're 3-4, 4-5, definitely in the top 5 for me.
I think I could also see Tatum being good and Coach K taking like an inordinate amount of credit for it. And, you know, when he's on the Olympic team, Coach K, who will never leave the Olympic team. Like I knew with Jayson during the 3 weeks I coached him when I didn't have back surgery.
He's gonna leave the Olympic team if they lose a game in pool play. Then it's time for another back surgery.
Who's your most underrated player? That was funny. Who is your most underrated player in the tournament who's going to become more of a household name for casual college basketball fans who love the NBA and are scouting basically right now?
Does this need to be a guy on a team that's going to make a run, or can they lose in the first round?
Give me both.
Okay, a guy who's going to lose in the first round. Justin Patton from Creighton.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot, especially in a year without a lot of big men. He hasn't shot a lot of threes, but he has some touch from outside. He's explosive at the rim, so I think you put him in like a 4-out offense and let him be a rim runner. He can do that. He's super raw defensively, but he's shown a lot of flashes on that end. I think he's going to really, really impress people. And then really with a team that might make a run, maybe Miles Bridges if Michigan State wins a game or two. I think because he's such a highlight reel waiting to happen with his dunks, but he also does more than that. Like he's a way better shooter than I ever expected him to be. I don't know if they've tweaked his mechanics this year, but he's not a great shooter, but he's definitely above average at least. I think he's a guy that could really maybe rise up from the late lottery into the mid-lottery range if Michigan State makes a run, which I'm not quite sure if they will, but I wouldn't rule them out at all.
And Luke Kennard's already surging, right?
Oh, Luke's awesome, yeah.
Okay.
I have him like ranked 14th, so I think he's like late 20s in a lot of people's eyes. But I think that guy's awesome. His ability to score from each level, he's developed his handle. I think he can run a little bit of combo guard in the NBA, and I don't see him failing at all despite his lack of athleticism.
Tate just said that he's going to go back to Duke next year because he's a coward, and that's what Duke people do. They're just all cowards. He's going to stay there 5 years. Oh no, he's saying Coach K won't let him go.
He'd never do. Why do you think Grayson's there?
Coach K, yeah, he's going to guilt trip him to stay.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Because I also want to bring up a name that I'm just curious to talk to NBA people about is Caleb Swanigan.
Oh,
at
Purdue.
Purdue.
I like this guy.
He, part of the reason he's gonna, I think, people who watch college basketball obviously know who he is. He's one of the 2 or 3 best players in the country this year. But if you don't, and you start watching the tournament, the matchups that Purdue has lined up for them, where they'll play Vermont in the first round, and then probably Iowa State, and then maybe Kansas in the Sweet 16. Like that, all those teams do not have a guy they have zero answer for Swanigan, and that doesn't mean Purdue's gonna like win these games or whatever because they have a lot of flaws themselves. But like it's set up for Swanigan to just have like 20-20 nights every single night in the tournament, and if they go on a run, there are gonna be a lot of people getting excited about him. But beyond that, like I know what his flaws are, but I'm just curious like what because I think coming into the season he wasn't even on anybody's, and if he was like a late second rounder, but now he's kind of becoming like I think he's a first rounder, right?
Oh, definitely. What do you think, KSC?
I don't know if he's a first rounder, but he's close.
Really?
And like one thing that I had a hard time, kind of getting over was at the NBA Combine scrimmages last year. He looked really, really bad. Like it was a wake-up call for him, and I think, in a sense, maybe that's why he's taken such a leap as a player. His body's better. He looks like he's playing more intensely. He's polished his already good skills. So I definitely think he's an NBA player. I still don't view him as like a mid-first round pick, maybe a late first round pick.
Yeah.
I do like him quite a lot, though, especially after last year's nightmare at the Combine. The jump he's made has been really impressive.
He's terrible defensively.
Yeah,
I would say that,
we were talking about it last night.
Yeah.
I was saying if he's playing the 5 on an NBA team, all they're going to do is try to get him in a screen and roll where he has to go with the other guy, and now all of a sudden he's got to guard a point guard.
But I also feel like I should mention he's not terrible defensively in the way that a lot of guys that are terrible defensively are bad. Like, he tries really hard.
Right.
He's got a great work ethic. He's just not like the foot speed and that sort of stuff. That's
a start for a lot of guys, though, having that work ethic. They can get by as long as they're working hard and hitting their rotation.
If the Celtics, if they have any pick with between like 27 and 37 with whatever happens with this draft and they don't take him, I'm going to get really upset. Because that guy's an NBA player. Like, it's like Harrell on the Rockets now. But in Louisville, it's like, I know what that guy is. He's an energy rebounder. That guy's going to go in the NBA and he's going to be an energy rebounder who dunks alley-oops every once in a while. I know what Swanigan is. Like, he's going to come in. You'll be able to throw him the ball in your second unit, and he could be like Enes Kanter for 5 minutes. Just get a couple baskets, he'll kill you defensively, and that's fine.
Harrell's way more explosive though than
Oh no, I'm not comparing them as players. I'm just saying, like, there's certain guys where you just look at them and you go, oh, I know what that guy is. Like, could Swanigan be like taller Carl Landry for 3 years as a pro? Like, yeah, of course he can.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Swanigan doesn't have a long pro career. It's just a matter of like how good.
And he plays for like 6 teams.
Yeah, right.
But he's just banging around. He has a couple moments like, oh, that guy from Purdue, I like that guy. But if you're picking 28th, it's the kind of guy like the Spurs would take. And everybody would go, oh, of course.
They know exactly what to do with him.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, Titus.
Yeah.
What's your take on Evans on Oklahoma State? Point guard.
I haven't watched a ton of them because their team is not that great because they don't play any defense. But I like what I see. I mean, the guy scores and passes well and like all that kind of stuff. Tate and I just did a podcast earlier today, and I called him the best point guard in the country that never makes the best point guard in the country list. Like, he's the if that makes any sense to anybody listening. Yeah, I really like him. That's gonna be a great
riser too.
By the way, for all the casual fans listening, that first round game of Michigan and Oklahoma State is the first round game to watch. That is gonna be awesome with Evans versus Derek Walton, and just those two teams get up and down and score a lot and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't answer that like you want me to, I guess, because I haven't really picked apart Oklahoma State that much.
So on Draft Express right now, they have De'Aaron Fox as the 5th pick over Dennis Smith.
Ooh.
We have not done a ringer. Ooh. When's our next ringer mock draft? Is that coming up soon? KOC?
I think we're supposed to do a big board either this Friday or next Friday.
All right.
Who's the guy
that seems high for a point guard that can't shoot? I know he's an incredible athlete, but there's so many point guards in the NBA. It's much harder to find somebody like Markkanen than it is to find a Fox.
I'm just curious, O'Connor, who's the guy that you're like high on and no one else is, and you're just like, screw it, I'm going to my grave saying this guy's good?
It might be Luke Kennard.
Luke Kennard?
I have him ranked like 13th,
I'm right there with you.
13th or 14th, and like everybody has him like late 20s. And I'm like, dude, he's like a borderline lottery pick at least. He's so skilled. So it might be him.
Yeah.
But you guys both think like John Collins and Justin Patton are like 15 and 16 on these mock drafts. Like, in other years, those are top 10 picks, right?
I would think so, yeah.
KOC?
I think so because the top is so stacked. Like, there's like 9 guys who you can make a case for that are deserving to be in the top 4 or 5.
And meanwhile,
like,
poor Ivan,
their team needs or philosophy.
Poor Ivan Robb could have come out last year. Would have been like the 13th, somewhere between 10 and 13, I think, and now he's in the 20s. Because the longer you stay in college, the more they just stare at you and go,
what's wrong with you?
I didn't like that game, and they just pick you apart. You're almost better doing the Kyrie
Trying to
Irving
think,
and playing
who's
10 games.
Who was the best guy that came back and actually improved his stock?
It's
Like,
Not
when did-
Grayson Allen.
yeah, not
when does that
Grayson Allen.
happen?
Hey, no, it's
Like a guy
not great.
who was like maybe lottery or fringe lottery and was like, you know what, I'm going to come back so I can be top 10 lock or top 5, and then
Doesn't
actually
work.
that doesn't
I
ever
mean,
happen, does it?
allegedly they stay for the education.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out for them. But KOC, do you have a pick for us
For
for the tournament? Is there a team you feel strongly about, or are you just looking at players only?
Yeah, I'm all about Duke this year. Sorry, Tate.
Wow.
Duke's my team. I think they can beat you in so many different ways.
Oh man.
I think Tatum's on a roll right now. I think
God.
Kennard's going to stay hot. I think Grayson Allen's a little bit better than he's been this year. I'm going with Duke.
So
Sorry.
here's the thing with Kentucky. If the Fox thing, if he just gets hot,
Yeah.
and now he's the alpha dog in that team, but Monk is now positioned as this totally overqualified number 2 who at any time can get in a heat check, or if things go wrong, he can take over for a half. That's a pretty enticing combo for college.
The thing about Monk, he's not gonna not get his. Like he's not. It's not like Fox is gonna be the guy, and Monk's gonna be like, okay, you be the guy. Like he's still gonna get his up, and so he's, if the scenario you're saying plays out, yeah, Kentucky is nuts.
You know why I'm not picking Kentucky though?
What is that?
Because Coach Cal's a terrible game coach. He is. Kentucky basketball, Matt Jones, everybody, I love you guys. I support Bookie to the death. Calipari's not a good game coach. He's just not. Nobody's ever been like, wow, Calipari pulled all the strings in that one. They were losing it. Like Calipari versus like Brad Stevens during the Butler era would have been one of the biggest mismatches of all time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna nod my head. And again, like Kentucky fans,
It's fine. He's a great
yeah.
recruiter.
Yeah.
He's awesome. As a game coach, he's really, really, really spotty. He just is. What was the year? What was the final when they made the finals that one year? It was one of the years where the guys were underneath the court, which I always hate when they have
the raised court and
the raised court and the guys are sitting underneath. And it was like, I honestly felt like he panicked in the last 5 minutes. Like he gets this look on his face.
They lost the 2014 title game to UConn.
Who was that? Yeah.
UConn beat him.
That's what it was.
He got outcoached by Kevin Ollie, which is all that.
He got outcoached by Kevin Ollie. And he had a look on his face of like he was kind of overwhelmed by the moment. And the thing I've noticed with him, and maybe this will fade as he gets older, but in moments of real adversity, he looks tense. Like he doesn't look like I'm the calm guy. Like he actually, like the pressure, you can see it. And I always wonder if that transfers to his players.
In Cal's defense,
Titus is terrified right now.
I'm not terrified.
You don't want to mess with
I'm
the
trying to
Kentucky
figure out the
people.
best way to. I'm saying in Cal's defense, he's not trying to win games. He's trying to get guys to the league. That's his. He's trying to be a media mogul and get his guys to the league. That's all he's.
And the coaching.
He should run more pick and roll then.
Yeah.
That's the part. I mean, you have Bam and you have 2 guards who get to the rim whenever I want. I can't even believe they have an offense. I would just run pick and roll the entire time.
Yeah. The worst to me was the 2015 team that was undefeated, and he was doing the platoon thing all season, and just the hubris with that, where he's just like, no, we're going to do this. It's going to work. I'm going to show you. And they played Wisconsin and in the Final Four, and he still had that attitude of just like, no, like Wisconsin needs to adjust to me. My team's undefeated. And I was like, Wisconsin's pretty damn good. You should probably adjust to them. He's like, no, I don't need to do that. I'm just going to do my thing. And then they lost, and that was awful.
Well, before the Kentucky fans get mad, I just want to point out that Rick Pitino is probably my number 1 least favorite person in sports. It's either him or Roger Clemens.
You'd play for Rick Pitino.
I can't stand Rick Pitino. I would never do anything for Rick Pitino. I wouldn't loan him my last $5 if he needed it.
Just one recruiting trip, you play for him.
No way. No way. That guy destroyed the Celtics. I will never forgive him.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
he traded Chauncey Billups after 50 games. He was a snake oil salesman.
I remember this. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. And his team hated him. And
he's bad.
And he came and with all this bullshit, and he gave this big lecture about, you Bird and McHale and Parrish aren't walking through that door. It was like, fuck you, dude.
I hate
that guy.
Patino's bad because you can make fun of him all you want and call him a sleazeball and stuff. And Louisville fans are just like, yeah, you're probably right, but he wins games. We like him all right. Like
I hate
Patino.
Pitino.
They don't defend him.
I don't really hate anybody. I'm talking like sports hate. I sports hate Pitino so much that I also root against his son, and I'm going to be rooting against him in round one.
Yeah.
Like anybody related to him, I root against. I just can't stand that guy. So anyway, I'm pro Kentucky. I've never really watched Kentucky and been impressed by the coaching. But as we talked about earlier, it's not like there's a lot of rocket science coaches, scientist coaches.
That's one of the things I'd say that NBA fans kind of overvalue or overemphasize when watching college basketball. That, like, these guys are great coaches and these guys aren't. And, like, that's definitely a thing. Like, there are good coaches and bad coaches, but it's not like, coaches very rarely win games in college basketball by being just, like, so much smarter than the other guy. Or
and then there's Brad Stevens.
Coaches can lose games in college basketball, but they very rarely are like, and then there's Brad Stevens, too.
You would have Brad Stevens. You would have been a second-round draft pick if you played for Brad Stevens.
Found a way.
He would have been like, "Listen, this is what Titus does well. Let's just get him off screens. It's going to go great." All right, KOC, enjoy the tournament. I look forward to reading your next Ringer big board. What is it? What are we up to? 4.0? Something like that.
5.0 is next.
5.0. All right. Did you get nailed by the blizzard, by the way?
It wasn't as bad as anybody, I think, expected it to be. But, I mean, it's still a pain in the ass.
Oh.
But it's not so bad.
So it's the John Calipari blizzards? It's a lot of fuss, and it turned out in the huge moment it didn't totally come through. All right. Thanks, KOC.
Pretty much. Hey, thanks, guys.
All right, Titus, parting shots?
Yeah, parting shots. Duke, hot team, most talented team everyone's going to pick. Carolina's kind of like Carolina's the pick that everyone's going to make that they think they're smarter than, like, because everyone's going to do Duke, so the people are like, actually, I know what to do here. I'm going to do Carolina. That's kind of the pick. I would say Gonzaga is better than probably every single person listening to this thinks they are. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm not saying they're going to the Final Four. I'm just saying Gonzaga is actually very good. If there's a one seed I don't really trust, it would probably be Kansas. I really like Louisville. Louisville's a good team. I like Kentucky. Kentucky's a good team. So some of those, But guards and defense, that's my parting shot. If you're looking for a champion, look at guards and defense.
And on the Teed Up podcast on Ringer University, you guys are going to be going with little micropods at the end of each night, right? You're in LA. That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. I came out here.
A little time zone difference helps out.
To miss it, we're excited. To miss the weather and,
The games, see, when I was in college, way back when in the 80s and early 90s, they always had the late game. That was freaking awesome. It was like the West Coast. It started at like 11 at night or 10, and so you'd have to stay up for it. But in college, it was the best because there was some game on at like 1:30 in the morning. They don't really do that as much anymore. I think what's the latest the games go here, Tate? Like, it's like 9 o'clock here.
Yeah, we get over 9 here. Hey, one thing we do need to talk about before I go, Gus Johnson.
Yeah.
Just general ideas, general thoughts. Like, so I put this together. You'll appreciate this, that the last big Gus Johnson March Madness moment we got was Isaiah Thomas hitting the shot to beat Arizona in the Pac-10 back then tournament. Yeah. I don't know if you remember it, the game was tied and Gus may have known that was his last call because he was like, he didn't wait for the shot to go in. It was like, 20 seconds. Yeah. Isaiah has the ball. Here we go. And he just did that the whole time. And then he hit the shot, and that was what year was that, Tate? 2011? Yeah, 2011. So it's been 6 years. I don't know.
I remember watching that game and being super excited about it, and then being in disbelief when he dropped to number 60 in the draft. But I don't know what we do with Gus Johnson.
Yeah.
I know that America wants him.
We want him.
I know if there was a sports czar, the sports czar, like the main things he'd try to fix college sports. He'd try to fix taxpayers paying for stadiums. He'd try to fix boxing. But like on like a Thursday in July when things kind of calm down, he'd turn his attention to Gus Johnson for one day and be like, all right, how do we fix this?
Right.
Can you loan him over for 2 weeks? There's no practical reason why CBS can't just use him for 2 weeks. They're using all these.
It's Jim Nance. Jim Nance didn't like him. Jim Nance didn't like that Gus was better than him. That's what it was. That is a fascinating theory that I'm so jealous I never thought of. Yeah.
So you think Jim Nance whacked him?
Yeah. Gus Johnson was a rising star, and Jim Nance said, "No, I'm the guy. This is Jim Nance season. We got the Masters, we got the AFC Championship, sometimes the Super Bowl. We got
you think like
March Madness and this is Jim Nance's from July to April. It's Jim Nance time."
So you think he's at like his kid's birthday party, and some parent comes up to him and be like, "Hey man, I love that Gus Johnson."
Yeah.
And Jim Nantz is like, "What a moment! What a bad moment for me!" And then just took it personally. I could see that. I like that theory.
That's right there. Yeah. So we got to find a
So
way.
Nantz is like, either he goes or I go.
Yeah. Right.
But the mistake was they should have kept Gus Johnson.
Absolutely. But Nance has got the Masters to do, the football to do with Phil Simms. They provide a lot of great commentary on that together, as we know.
Can I throw out? Can I throw out? He's not Gus Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm not putting them in the same sentence. It would be like comparing Tom Chambers to Larry Bird. But I do think Harlan is good.
Harlan's very good.
I like
Harlan's
having Harlan
very,
on
very
these
good.
college games, and I feel
He's
like
awesome.
Gus's corner is represented at least.
It's
It's not the same.
Harlan's so good, it's almost bad because then it reminds you that he's not Gus.
Right.
You're like he's great, and you're like, oh, but he's not that one guy that was. Yeah, but Harlan's great.
The thing that Gus has, even when he does the games now occasionally, it's just like you want the game to be.
Yeah.
You want it to be tight with 30 seconds left. And as you said, like his voice will start 20 seconds to go. And he's already ready to shoot his wad. He can't wait.
It's so amazing if you go back and look at like if you think of an NCAA tournament moment that was awesome. Like this just happened to me the other day. We were prepping for our podcast talking about Vermont, who's back in the tournament, and they beat Syracuse in 05 on an insane
Remember
on 3-3.
that? Yeah.
And so we're like going back trying to relive the moment, and it's always Gus Johnson calling it. No matter what the moment is, it always seems to be Gus.
He's like a magnet.
Yeah. Anyway.
Now you made me sad.
I know. I didn't mean to do that. I just wanted to. I wanted to get that out there. I don't want people to forget about Gus. We need to keep this going. We're trying to get Gus back.
Let's make this our corner after the tournament. We can bring him
we
back.
Gotta find a way to do it.
So the Teed Up podcast is on our Ringer University podcast feed, and you guys will be on there with these little micropods every day throughout the thing. We've already put up some good stuff on there too.
Yeah,
so if you want to catch up, 68 teams in 68 minutes.
Yeah,
you
we
guys
did that today.
one?
We did a little scouting report, all 68 teams.
If you want a little 1 minute scouting report for that, and then you're also writing for the Ringer too.
I'm doing that. Yeah.
What'd you rate this week? You did a little tournament.
Just did a little bracket reaction.
Okay.
Little teams that got screwed, teams that didn't.
All right,
That's
Mark
the thing,
Titus.
so.
Good to have you in person.
We did it.
I'm sorry the baby doll doesn't want to do your next book or any book. All right, that's it. Thanks to SeatGeek. That's our presenting sponsor. Don't forget to download the free SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Thanks to Sonos, the smart speaker system that streams all your favorite music to any room or every room. Control your music with one simple app. Fill your home with pure immersive sound. And do everything wirelessly. What's better than that? What's better for a holiday party? Add your existing music service. Add your existing music services. You might have one, you might have multiple. Or discover something new, but go to Sonos.com right now. Sonos.com right now. And don't forget, Channel 33, I was on the final episode of Bachelor Party, along with Roger Sherman. If you want to hear that, and if you want to hear the upcoming Sports Movie Hall of Fame podcast, check that out. Zach Lowe, thanks again for his first appearance in 22 months. That's the previous BS podcast. And we have a professional sports owner coming up on the next one. We have one more podcast this week. I won't tell you who the owner is.